Hey those boys are welcome back, another Poemaster video, and since we've done the utility list, right, let's just keep on going over here and work on the hybrid tiers, right? So the hybrid units over here, right, which are basically units that to do damage and also have some a lot of utility. That's why you see a lot of tech units like Bianca Musharna, right, in here, etc. That could do really good damage, sometimes even better than pure damage dealers, but also, set some other stuff up, right, for your team and all that stuff, right? Again, this generally has, like, because it's hybrid, it has a lot of things. It has strikers in here, it has techs in here, then it has supports, so a lot of different things that they have in there, although mostly I'd say techs. If you were to count, I'd say they'd probably be the most, but yeah, again, there's also some strikers and some supports in here as well, so anyways, again, obviously these are all subjective, and this is not a should you summon list, right? It doesn't mean the better the unit is, the more worth it is, for gems, right? Because there's, again, a lot of considerations when summoning for a unit, right? So anyways, yeah, shoutouts to, Runner for helping me on the list, right? And, let's get into it, I guess, right? So, okay. There's one big thing. Well, it's not like super big, right? There's one thing that I did change from this list from the last one, which we did add a tier. It just seems like the top 3 units are so much better than anything else in the game. It's kind of a bit of a disservice to put them in, still in the same tier. Like, you could still keep them in there, right? Like, it feels good and all that stuff, and it's just slightly awkward to like make another tier for like 3 units, but they are just better, right? They are just better, unfortunately. So I thought we'd throw another tier. Again, it doesn't really matter that much personally, I don't think, right? But it just really doesn't make sense to put them in like with some other units that are just much worse in the same tier, right? Even though they're still all really good and top tier units, right? So anyways, that's I guess the one thing. So as usual, let's just put one in each tier so we could sort of see what kind of standards that we have, right, for each tier. So obviously the first one in the top 3, we have Kyogre, right? I mean, what can you do? It's Kyogre. It's arguably the best unit in the game, maybe not even arguably. Right, incredible that damage, better than like 99% of the damage deals in the whole game, right? Comes in with rain, you get extra rain on sync, extends rain, right? Has an, outside of the incredibly powerful Origin Pulse, you have a very powerful electro type coverage with thunder as well, right? Has the most broken passives in the game, which is the Hoenn Soul / Spirit Master passives, right? Just incredibly powerful as unit. Makes so many units much better, right? And even without helping other units, just by himself, he's an incredible, monster, right? So moving on to, I guess, for example, in the next tier, we could put, let's say, something like a May, right? May sets rain as well. Right, does have NPR on rain, which is nice. She does very good damage with Muddy Water as well, right? And she has incredibly powerful Sync Nuke. Yeah, on top of being a really solid tank as well, right? May is very good, very good. Moving on to maybe someone in the, I guess in this case close to top. Here we could put something like a. Let's put Incineroar, right? Really strong Sync Nuke, has defense debuffs, has team speed buffs, right? Yeah, and does passable, I guess, regular move damage, right? So that's really good. Moving on to the, I guess, very good tier, we could put something like a, Getsus, right? Getsus. Pretty big Sync Nuke. The Glaciate does solid amounts of damage as well. His team com's a bit weird, but outside of that, a very powerful unit. Right. Moving on. In the good tier, I guess. Right. We have something like maybe a Koga. It doesn't have any X, but however, still has a pretty good Sync Nuke, right? Has continuous special defense debuffs, has badly poison, right? The Venom Shock damage isn't terrible either. So, and pretty fast, I guess, overall for your team. So that's really good as well. Moving on to something like I guess more niche category, maybe like Altaria, right? She can get rid of field effects and stuff, but it's not super common, and generally you don't really need to, because unless the opponent also has like vigilance or some like crit, you know, defense mechanism, right? Generally those shields don't really matter, and if they have crit shield, then yeah, it's good for crit shields, right? But outside of that, damage is pretty low, right? Sync Nuke's not terrible, right? It does have a secondary type coverage, lower the opponent's evasion, which is very, very rare in this game. So yeah, again, really niche, but in the right scenarios could be pretty good, right? Moving on, we got there's still, you know, still solid units, right? So something like a Torkoal, right? Physical physically defensive, whatever. Its physical defense is pretty good, right? It can burn opponents with Will-O-Wisp. Has a pretty powerful Sync Nuke. Has a 1-gauge spam with Ember, right? And yeah, it's solid. And moving on to the not very useful here, I guess we have Crasher Wake. Not the best, right? He can max out all his like offensive stats, but his damage output's not that great, right? And he doesn't really do much outside of that. All right, moving on. I guess to keep filling things up, obviously in the top 3 have 3 units. The other one being Maxi, which is basically Kyogre, but not water type, but ground type. And instead of Thunder has Solar Beam, right? And everything else basically more or less the same. It's incredibly powerful over here. And the other one's just Leer, right? Leer is incredibly broken, right? This guy does like 1,000,000 damage, like literally 1,000,000 damage on like hyperspace holes. Incredible Sync Nuke, right? And most importantly, this guy could shred a whole turn of Sync Move Countdown off of your team. So you sync a entire team sooner, or entire turn sooner. So you get an extra 1.5, you know, the Sync Move buff to your team a whole turn sooner, right? Which is pretty broken, right? Moving on, I guess, since we're done with the top, let's fill up some of the bottom. Aegislash not very useful overall, and let's see, I guess Clay's not the best either, unfortunately. Moving our way up into, I guess, solid over here, we have Pikachu. Pikachu can heal, Pikachu could do slight amounts of damage. I mean, Electric Train Pikachu damage isn't terrible, right? With all those multipliers going on for a 2-gauge move at least, right? But yeah, not the best, unfortunately. What else? Kalen in Psychic Drain can do some stuff, but like it's not that great, right? There really so much you could really do with Caitlyn. People, I don't know, and that's why we categorize Caitlyn as hybrid, just because it could tank, but I really do not like tanking with Caitlyn. Why would you tank with Caitlyn? Anyways, but I'm not gonna argue with other folks on that, I guess. Agatha, it's pretty fast for a sleeper, right, in terms of speed wise, but outside of that, yeah, I mean, Serena's there, makes all the other sleepers, you know, puts them to shame or puts them to sleep. And damage isn't the best, right, with Mega Gengar, right? Moving on. Mimikyu just doesn't really do anything, right? She loses her MP refresh, or she loses her MP relatively fast. Her MP refresh is not good on her moves, and her damage overall is not that great, and her gimmicks aren't that great either. It's like Confusion, which is not that good, and then defense debuffs, which is good, but there's just better defense debuffers, right? In this day and age. Moving on to, I guess, more niche units, something like an Onyx. Pretty good Sync Nuke with Haymaker, all that stuff, and the, you know, innate all that. And then you have Potions, which are something. You have a pretty good physical defensive tank as well. You have the speed debuffs and all that. So he's cool. Moving on, we have something like a Plumeria, which damage-wise isn't the best. with Sludge Wave, but she does have a good Sync Nuke. She is very, very, very fast. She has the Smog Flinch Poison thing, which is not that good, but she has it, so that's why she's in Hybrid. Moving on. Anyone else? I guess maybe Gladion. Maybe you could move Gladion up one. Yeah, I'll move a Gladion up one. I guess he's not as down bad as these folks. But he's still not great. Alright, still not great. His damage overall is pretty low. But he is pretty good for the current meta, because, like, the opponents don't really change types. Right? In terms of, like, you know, different layers of opponents with different, you know, types. Mostly, Legendary Arena, they're usually just one type. Sometimes they switch, like, one type, but, like, you know, they're like that. And then Champion Stadium, they're just all one type, right? So, I guess he's not as bad at the moment. Absol moved up one. His sync move damage is not that bad, right? It's not that bad. All the rest of his damage is terrible, but his sync move damage is not that bad, so just keep them there. I guess also really easy to set up overall, so if you want to slot him into some team, it's not super hard to do, right? There are some considerations, but, you know, generally not incredibly hard to slot into some team. Let's see, what else? We'll have Season Electricity. Unfortunately, still doesn't have a 6-star EX, but even without a 6-star EX, still has really, really good Sync Nuke damage, right? Skull damage isn't terrible. He could obviously, well, Scald for opponents. Also, debuff accuracy with Octazooka, which is nice. And not super easy to take out as well. So, there's that. Let's see. Skylakiss can flinch, can status, very, very powerful Sync Nuke. All that stuff, right? So, regular damage isn't terrible as well if you get all those multipliers up, which is hard, but if you can, it's not bad. Wallace Milotic, solid tank, really, you know, pretty okay Sync Nuke as well, because it's water type, attack, can trap, stall, right, with the Poke Trap stuff. Moving on, let's see. Next here, what can we have in there? I guess maybe Steven. His damage is not very great. His sync move is not terrible, however, and he's physical defensively, not terrible either. He has a flinch thing, which is cool, so there's that. And Evil is basically Steven, except you have to split up all his moves and use them at different times, which is a bit more, you know, a bit more awkward to use, but overall, pretty much same idea. And what else? We got Mew, solid tank, do some damage with all the different moves that Mew has, right? And yeah, good stats, all that stuff. What's next? Oh, Zinnia. Zinnia's just pretty good damage healer, basically. That's it. Good damage healer. Good damage healer. In the close top, we could have something like a Silver. Right? Sets up Infinite Sun on sinks. Solar Beam's not bad. The overheat power is very, very, very good. Right? Sacred Fire could burn sometimes. What else? We have Lopunny, which gives your team speed buffs. High jump kick's very, very powerful. Right? Has potion, has like defense buffs and stuff for your team. The only awkward part is you have to sync with Lopunny, which is not the best sync in the world, but you know. After you sync, those high jump kicks hit very, very hard. So, next we got Champion Iris, which is a pretty well-aging unit overall, right? But yeah, she's got her debuff stuff. She got the team move gauge acceleration, which is great. She has, you know, Dragon Rush could do some solid damage after a long time of setup. Very, very powerful Sync Nuke, right? So pretty good unit overall. What else? We have, oh, I missed this guy. This guy's here as well. Infinite Hail Setter, right? Again, damage not that great, but Infinite Hail Setter. So there's that, I guess. Oh, I also forgot about Starmie. Starmie's probably here as well. Hydro Pump's just powerful, right? Hydro Pump's very, very powerful. Her Sync Nuke's pretty powerful as well, thanks to the multipliers. Plus, she's, you know, rain teams. And also she has the special defense, buffs for your team. The gradual heals, evasion buffs, which are also, you know, pretty rare evasion buffs, right? Moving on. Summer Marnie's probably here as well, right? Fantastic tank for triple striker teams. Really, you know, good damage on Spirit Break. Well, not that great, but, you know, pretty solid damage on Spirit Break. And really powerful Sync Nuke. And she's a god in Battle Villa, basically. Which is good. And then we got Hop over here, you know, solid damage on Behemoth Bashes. Good tank, good buffs, all that stuff, right? Just a really solid overall unit. Moving on to the top tier, we have Musharna still, right? Fantastic tank, incredible damage dealer, right? All that stuff. Sets up test psychic terrain, like just a next level unit, right? She's probably like the best out of all these tiers. I don't know. Either her or May, really close. And they're really good. Oh, En's also a really good contender as well. But yeah, Singsu Leaf. Good tank, can heal, can debuff, right? Badly poison. AoE badly poison as well, right? And then Frenzy Plant does some really good damage as well. Her Sync Nuke's really good as well. So yeah, great damage healer, and has some nice debuffs. Poison stuff is cool, and heals. And then we have Serena, AoE, Sleep. Need I say more? Right? Again, also great overheat damage and Sync Nuke damage as well. This Serena is fantastic as well. Really fast setup Sync Nuke, very powerful Sync Nuke. Moonblast is very powerful as well. Team speed buffs is fantastic as always. Can paralyze, AoE paralyze. So, oh, also the AoE -2 speed buffs, which is also, you know, pretty good as well. And here's a new unit, Aerodactyl, probably, you know, top tier as well. Has really good damage, and has the team max crit buffs with Dire Hit all plus, or Dire Hit plus all, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's really this one, I guess. Hope you all enjoyed it. Have fun debating amongst yourselves in the comments down below. Right, like to enjoy this video, start channel for some more Pokemon content. We'll do damage deals tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys in the next one then.